Pedro, fight week, how excited are you?
Now I'm buzzing. As always, fight week is always fight week, but fight week in Dublin is extra special. So I'm buzzing, yeah.
It's a big fight. What are your thoughts ahead of Saturday night?
Winning. That's it. I can't get it simple than that. Just to go out there, show that I'm the real number one, show that I'm soon to be the champion, and make a statement. I leave no doubts. That's it.
It's been very much called a title eliminator. Do you think that's what it is?
This is the number one contender fight. I know that after I beat Jeremy Kennedy, I'll be fighting for the belt.
And how's camp been? We've seen a lot of photos and videos from SPG in the last couple of weeks and months. What's it been like?
Oh man, it's always great. You can only imagine because we are always a big group going into Bellator Dublin card, a lot of fighters fighting in the same card. So you can only imagine the atmosphere of like, because one thing is like you are alone in camp and the rest are just training. Other is like a big group of, I don't know how many guys just taking the best out of each other. And that's the best thing, to be honest, just be able to be around people that are going into the match with the same mindset as me, and you just grow with it.
What are your thoughts on Jeremy? What are his strengths?
I think the main thing that I see in him is like he's not flashy, he's not high, like he doesn't have like highlight stuff, but he's a consistent fighter. You never see him fighting bad. He always fights good. He's a consistent guy. But in the other hand, like I don't see nothing that I never seen before. He doesn't have nothing to bring that I never been through before on the mats on daily basis, and even on the fights. You can see overall his style of fighting. It's pretty much the same thing that happened in my last fight against Mats Vernell. He's a guy that like to put others against the fence. He eventually tried to get the takedown and be happy to stay on top. If he gets a dominant position, then he'll start to work the ground and pound. So, I've been there so many times, and I think stylistically, it's a great matchup for me, and it's a great opportunity again for me to go out there and just leave no doubts and make a statement.
Spoke to a couple of your teammates last week. They all mentioned you're sparring with Peter. It's almost famous now. What's it been like training with him for another big night?
Oh, it's great. We've been in the trenches for years now. He was one of the very first guys that I spar when I came up to Ireland, and it's from day one. It's been wars, but like good wars. Not crazy stuff, but always control chaos, but like a good control chaos. So it's always good. Every time me and Peter, spar, it's good. And it's actually this last time we weren't even never scheduled. And like on my last sparring session, my sparring partner couldn't come. So he was in the gym. I was like, you're a spar? I was like, yeah, let's go and just have a scrap. And yeah, good crack. It's always good. Always pay-per-view runs.
You spoke about Peter there, and he's a guy who's taken on all comers. Do you feel like that's something that you've tried to do over the last few years as well, and that's really helped you through the wins and the losses?
Yes and no. Like I'm a guy that I focus always mainly in myself, and I always try to build a very trust circle. Even though like we are a team, we are a big family, but you can imagine the pro team. It's huge. I don't know how many we are, but we are a lot. So even inside of that team, I try to surround myself of like world-class guys that I can have my trust on them. You know what I mean? So I can work safely on a safely environment and involve as a fighter. So that's pretty much the answer I can give you. Like my focus is always me. Of course, every time there's a new guy, I keep my eyes on it until but only after I start to have some confidence, I start to do some work with it. So I never was that guy that like, oh, this guy is new, let's test him. No, I'm never was that guy.
I remember there was talk after the Sam Cecilia fight that you might be the best active fighter in Ireland at the time. And I think you're only 24 at that stage, and you're only 27 now.
24,
the people sometimes forget like how young you actually are and how
how long you can see. That's why.
Is that a thing that you've noticed, that people actually forget, like that you're maybe not young to the game, but young in years and still improving all the time?
I like to think yes, but I like to think they don't realize how young I am, not because of my looks, but because of my skills. But yeah, but you know, I think I'm aware of it, and it's normal because I never looked an average 24 years old, now 27. Uh, but I also think that my skill set and the level that I reached from such a young age, you know, I was fighting for the belt at 24. Also, people kind of forget, and you can see even on football, like when such a young player, like for example, Mbappe is like 22, but people forget how young he is. That's because you know when an athlete being on in my case on the top of the rankings for a long period of time, people just forget it. And I think that's in a way unconsciously a recognition of my work.
When you look at Jeremy McKinney, obviously, you said you've had a lot of fights, but he's had a lot of fights as well. And one that kind of stands out, I suppose, is the Emmanuel Sanchez fight in terms of a guy who wants to come and strike with him, and he obviously came out on top on that one. Is that a fight you've kind of looked back on and saw that there was openings in certain areas and maybe you wouldn't fall into the traps that maybe Emmanuel did in that fight?
Yeah, I understand why a lot of people kind of compare me to Emmanuel Sanchez because we are both cardio guys, high pace, high pressure. But I think we are completely different fighters because first, I think I found myself way more technical. Why is just you know is just go in there and just go frontally. Even though in the past I did their same mistake, but not only I think I'm way more technical in that fight. Kennedy fought good, but in most, I'm not saying no most, but in a lot of positions, there was kind of Emmanuel Sanchez's fault that he made some mistakes that led to takedowns, that led to other stuff. So 100% was a fight that I'm looking for, that there's a lot of details going in there. But like I said, I don't care about these guys. I see what they have, I see their footage, but my focus is me, myself, and prove what I am, that I'm the best.
The last question for me, I suppose you're the local headliner on Saturday night. I remember we talked after one of the cars recently, and the big ovation you got. I think it was after the Vital win, and how you know how much the crowd was on your side. Is that something you're looking forward to seeing here? That like you will get probably the biggest ovation of anyone in the top two fights.
Every time I fight in here, the one of the main thing is just being in front of this amazing crowd. They've been supporting me from day one. From day one, I never felt that I emigrated. I felt always home, and that's why I carried so much pride, the Irish flag with me, the same way I carry my Portuguese flag, and that's why I never call Ireland my second home. Ireland is my home, period. And every time I go in there, you know, I go as a Portuguese man, but as an Irish as well. So the minimum I can give to those people is a fantastic show and a win. So every time I'm fighting in Dublin, I'm always looking forward, and I'm especially get my hand raised and see, you know, everyone going nuts.
You were the underdog coming into the last fight with Mads, and you were coming off a loss as well. You said at the time,
A loss.
panic there for a second. You said you felt strangely calm going into that. Now, there's probably just as much pressure on this with what's on the line if you win. How do you feel coming into this fight now?
I feel as confident as every time. You know, I had my setbacks in the past. I learned with them, and before I fought with Mats Bernal, I said that you know, I think I found my recipe, if you know what I mean. And happily, I could show against, you know, by far forgetting Patricio, by far the biggest opposition that I had. And I think, in my opinion, was the best performance of my career. So I think right now I just have the perfect puzzle to go out there and not only win, but become world champion. And you know, I think right now I'm just going in the right direction towards my prime. And I think from now you just all the way up.
Jeremy Cross, the teammate of Mads, you're kind of becoming the couture hunter now. Do you think there'll be any additional needle on his side because of you defeating his teammate?
I don't think so because from what I kind of understand, they don't actually train a lot together. Even their main coaches are different because they are, I think that back there they have two main coaches. I don't know their name. But they train with different coaches, they train with different team partners, and even Mats Burnell told me on the end of the fight that he doesn't train a lot with him. If that's true or not, to be honest, I don't care. It happened the other way around where where guys that fought teammates of mine fought. Oh no, it's the fight game. It is what it is. But in the end of the day, what really matters is just gonna be me and him in there, and it's gonna be there for a long night.
Hopefully you get the victory and Pitbull
will.
is next then. The first fight, a lot of people say kind of came too soon for you. Do you agree with that? And what do you think you've done in that time that's going to be different this time around?
Yeah, I guess it came too soon. I don't know about skill wise, maybe so, but mainly about psychologically because I was at the time too immature, and the result was it was. I let all there at the time, that media attention at the time that was huge in Portugal. For the first time, people stopped to watch MMA. Never happened before. For the first time, MMA was being talked in the news on prime time. And all that protagonism kind of fed my ego. And all there, my ego was keep growing like a balloon. And I got in there with overconfidence. And I end up underestimated one of the best featherweights of all time, that is Patricio Pitbull. And I paid the bill, but I had my setback, but I went to the drawing board, and here I am. A lot of people doubt that I will be again here, but I am here again, and I'm not going anywhere until I get that gold.
And finally, Sean touched on it there, the amazing connection you have with the Dublin and the 3 Arena crowd. Call now Pitbull next. Are you going to say, we're going to have it here on my terms, and think that would make much of a difference as well?
To be honest, I'm not going to call Pitbull. I'm going to call the belt. That's my focus. I don't care about names. I just care about the belt being there, somebody to beat being there, and I'll claim what's mine. I don't care if it's Pitbull or any other of the top 10 guy. I'm here. I believe that I'm the best. I believe that I can beat anyone, Patricio or any other guys. So my focus really, it's me and the belt. Who is going to be there for me to win? I don't care. Of course, if I can get my rematch in Dublin, that will be like, yeah, but we can't ask for so much. And besides, my focus is on this Saturday because nothing this matter. I need to get the job done, and I don't want to only get the job done. I want to get there and leave no doubts between me and Jeremy Kennedy. Thank you.
You spoke about having the recipe at the end of your last fight. Has the recipe changed for this one?
No. In terms of course, we adapt in concerns of the opponent style, but it was the way of me approaching my training, me as a fighter, how I approach the fight as a fighter, and so many other things. And I can resume by, I'm born a fighter. I become an athlete because I want to be a better fighter. But I found out the hard way that in this sport, this is a sport. This is not a street fight. So it's not really like, it doesn't matter how tough you are, but it's not really who's the toughest. He's most of the time who's the smartest guy. And I realized that I had a lot of weapons, but I wasn't using them properly. So I was like, the fighter part, I keep as a resource. If we go into those deep waters, I know I'll be fine there. I'll feel at home there. So I leave it as a resource. So I go approach every time in there from now on as an athlete, as a guy that going there to win. Yeah, as a guy that if he has to make a boring decision to win, I'll make a boring decision to win. So that was probably the main difference maker, and around that.
Which of those weapons do you think you've improved since September with the Mads fight?
Just for example, I can give you a quick example. When I was on the third round and I clinched him, and I think I landed like 10 knees on him, I knew that was a high probability if I keep going, maybe I get the finish. But like after 10 knees, I just in a quick in like a matter of seconds, I just thought, let's say this guy stumbles and take me down. Now I'm the one after going after the work. So I was just like, you know what? He's tired. I know he's tired. I'm just gonna take him down, be on top of him. I think I can control him for the rest of the round and just win this round or win this fight. So I never had these kind of decisions before. If it was like the old Pedro, I would just stay on him until I finish him. And on that occasion, I was like, no, I'm here to win, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Seems like you're more calm going into the fight then. Obviously, the crowd's going to be a massive factor. A couple of guys have spoken about it. Do you think it'll have an effect on your opponent or not?
I don't know. I don't care. I will affect him. So that's what really matters.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Pedro, you've talked about being overlooked and underrated by your opponent. Have you seen him around the hotel so far this week?
Not yet. Not yet, but I will see him. What really matters is like he makes weight. If not, that's okay. I get an extra pay. What really matters is he shows up on 3 Arena. You know, the rest is rest. No need to worry. Of course, if I see him, good. I like to have a look before the fight, but I don't really care.
How do you think that interaction will go down? He's been calling you out for a number of years now.
I don't know. He's been calling me out, but I think he's just a bit of a fan of me. I don't know. I don't know what the story is if he called me out because he think I'm an easy target for him or whatever the reason he has. But again, this is not about him. This is only about me and going out there and win. The rest is rest. When I come to this fight game, I'm cold blood. I don't take nothing personal. It's just me, and me.
Yeah, you've continued to grow as a star, I suppose, within the organization. You're here in front of the media, fighting in an arena like the 3 Arena. But you also shared recently that you used to clean toilets in Tala Hospital before all of this. What was going through your mind on a shift in Tala Hospital? What would you be thinking of?
It was just the hustle, you know. I didn't even think. I just doing it. I remember every single time my routine was like waking up at like around 7 a.m. Really quick, make my breakfast, really quick, make my bag, go to the gym, have my sessions. Straight away, I have to come back home as soon as possible so I can make my lunch. 1 o'clock, I was getting in. Thankfully, I was living close by to the hospital. Working till 5, running back home, switch clothes, make my bag again, go back to the gym. Most of the times I was one of the last guys, if not the last. Normally every day I was closing the gym with the staff, going back home, having dinner around midnight. I was finished to go home and repeat it. And it was tough times, but I look back and, you know, even then I never really thought about like, oh, it is hard. It is what it is. It has to be hard. There's no other way. There's no other way to make your way up. And I knew when I made my decision with 20 years old to go to another country to pursue my dream, I knew it wouldn't be easy. It's still not easy, but that's what makes special.